Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 16th chapter, text number 21. Arakshamana striya urvibalan Shochasyato purushadairivartan Vacham devim brahmakule kukarmani Abrahmanye rajakule kulagryan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Are you feeling compunction for the unhappy women and children who are left forlorn by unscrupulous persons? Or are you unhappy because the goddess of learning is being handled by Brahmanas addicted to acts against the principles of religion? Or are you sorry to see that the Brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that do not respect Brahminical culture? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the age of Kali, the women and the children along with Brahmanas and cows will be grossly neglected and left unprotected. In this age, illicit connection with women will render many women and children uncared for. Circumstantially, the women will try to become independent of the protection of men, and marriage will be performed as a matter of formal agreement between man and woman. In most cases, the children will not be taken care of properly. The Brahmanas are traditionally intelligent men, and thus they will be able to pick up modern education to the topmost rank. But as far as moral and religious principles are concerned, they shall be the most fallen. Education and bad character go ill together, but such things will run parallel. The administrative heads as a class will condemn the tenets of Vedic wisdom and will prefer to conduct a so-called secular state, and the so-called educated Brahmanas will be purchased by such unscrupulous administrators. Even a philosopher and writer of many books on religious principles may also accept an exalted post in a government which denies all the moral codes of the Shastras. The Brahmanas are specifically restricted from accepting such service. But in this age, they will not only accept service, but they will do so even if it is of the meanest quality. These are some of the symptoms of the Kali age which are harmful to the general welfare of human society. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Hare Krishna. So we are in this particular chapter 16 of the 1st canto, entitled How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. Parikshit Maharaj, having been enthroned as the emperor of the whole world, previous chapter was entitled The Pandavas Retire Timely. So after the battle of Kurukshetra, we all know how severe the war was, battle. And then Pandavas come out victorious. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was enthroned for so many years, 36 years he rules. And then they get to know that Krishna, the purpose of his incarnation, that was to annihilate the unnecessary administrative class of men which was actually burdening the earth, that has been achieved. And a very pious soul, a devotee, pure devotee of the Lord, like Yudhishthira Maharaj had been enthroned. So Krishna's mission had been completed. And then Krishna Balaram both have actually had returned back to their original abode. And seeing that and hearing that Krishna has wound up his pastime in this material world, being pure devotees of Lord Krishna, naturally all the Pandavas, including Yudhishthira Maharaj, decide that they also would want to retire from this material world. Although they were pure devotees, there was no separate endeavor required for them to progress spiritually or to achieve that ultimate goal of life. They were already engaged in Lord's service. So that means after liberation also a pure devotee is engaged in Lord's service, and while being in this material world also he continues to be engaged in devotional service. So for them there was no separate endeavor required to renounce their kingdom. They could have continued to rule, but then they wanted unhindered, complete focus on Supreme Lord's pastimes. They meditated on that, and thus they quit this material kingdom, and they had enthroned Parikshit Maharaj as their heir to the entire world. And then Parikshit Maharaj starts ruling this entire world. So this chapter begins with this particular verse, first verse. Suta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parikshit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice born Brahmanas. So that has got a connection with today's verse. Although Parikshit Maharaj was so qualified and he was so powerful, all power, all resources, everything was under his command. But still he ruled this kingdom under the advice and instructions of the qualified twice born Brahmanas. He ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth. So astrologers had already predicted what will be the qualities of Parikshit Maharaj, how great a devotee he will be. His name itself indicates Parikshit. He is always looking after something. So what is that something? That something is the Supreme Personality of God. He was always looking, searching for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom he had seen in his mother's womb. Krishna had actually personally had protected Parikshit Maharaj when Ashwatthama had released Brahmastra targeting his mother's womb. So such a qualified person, he was ruling under the instruction of the qualified Brahmanas. He was once upon a time traveling the kingdom, and there he sees that some person who was actually disguised as a king, but he was actually beating the legs of a cow and bull, and immediately he captures him, and then it is said that he actually punished him, he didn't kill him. And when it was told that such a sinful person was just punished and was let go with his life, he was not being killed, the sages of Naimisharanya, we are seeing here, Parikshit Maharaj was actually present. He got this knowledge from Shukadeva Goswami himself, and then Suta Goswami also was attending and was hearing this discourse. And in the sages of Naimisharanya, added by Shaunaka Rishi, was asking questions to Suta Goswami in the next generation. And then the sages get surprised. Why did Parikshit Maharaj only punish him and he did not kill him? So, and then the discussion further goes. He explains that how the Dharma that was representing bull and Mother Earth, who was actually had taken the shape of a cow, they were actually discussion. So today's verse is a part of conversation that is happening between Mother Earth and the Dharma, the bull. So these are all the predictions from Vedic literature. So this was written 5000 years ago. This was compiled by Vyasadeva. And 5000 years means 50 centuries. So approximately you can calculate 70-80 generations. So this was predicted so earlier, just at the beginning of this Kali Yuga, and then which is applicable even to today and the days to come. So it's said in today's verse that Arakshyamana Striya Urvi Balan. So Rakshamana means protecting, Arakshamana means unprotected. Arakshamana, Stri means women, Urvi on this earth, and Balan means children. So now bull actually stands on 4 legs. Now in the age of Kali, what was happening? Bull was standing on only 1 leg. The pillars of Dharma, purity, religiousness and truthfulness, everything is actually deteriorated in this age of Kali. So then, and cow was also looking very, very unhappy. There was no the glorious face of the cow anymore looking happy. So because cow was looking very unhappy, Dharma in the form of the bull is asking these questions to Mother Earth. So in this verse, 3 questions he is asking. So the first verse is Shochasi ato purushader ivarthan arakshamana striya urvi balan. So it is said that, oh my dear Mother Earth, you are unhappy because now the children and women are unprotected by persons. That is the first question. Or Vacham Devim Brahmakule Kukarmani. Vacham Devim, the goddess of learning, are being handled by Brahmakule who are kukar and money, by the Brahmanas who are actually not qualified. This is the second question. Third question is, or Abrahmanye Rajakule Kulagryan. Rajakula means the family of the Kshatriyas, the royal order. Now, the Brahmanas, without being protected, they have taken shelter of such Kulagryan, such royal class of family who do not have faith in these Vedic scriptures, injunctions. So, in all three questions put together, to summarize, in the translation it is said that the children, the women and the Brahmanas are unprotected in this age of Kali. So that is why, because of this reason, are you unhappy, is what the question is being put by the Dharma represented by bull. So Parikshit Maharaj, when he was ruling, there is no possibility of Kali Yuga being infiltrated, but just because this is the age of Kali, his age represented by the Kali Purusha as the will of providence as desired by Krishna, he also had to be given some shelter. So later on we will see that how Parikshit Maharaj gave Kali Purusha residence where these four sinful activities are being performed: illicit sex, gambling, meat eating and intoxication. And apart from that, place where excessive gold or wealth is hoarded without being utilized in service of the Lord. So that also is a residence of Kali Purusha. So now, who are supposed to set right this bad ill effects of Kali Yuga? They are the Brahmanas, isn't it? So Krishna also explains in Bhagavad Gita that he divided this entire population, human population, specifically out of the 84 lakh species, the 4 lakh species, the topmost 4 lakh species in this entire cycle of evolution of species is the human beings. So the human beings are classified as Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So Krishna is telling based on the Guna and Karma. So what is Guna? Guna is quality, and Karma based on the activities. Human society is divided into these four classes. So now, it's not that just because somebody is by birth son of a Brahmana, he is called as Brahmana, or just because somebody is son of a Shudra, doesn't mean that he cannot be elevated himself to the position of a Brahmana. So further in the same Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, Krishna also further explains, Prabhupada beautifully explains in that purport also how just like this body is there, this body has got head, body has got arms, body has got belly and has got legs. So for the proper normal functioning of this body, all the parts have to be working in sync, in coordination with each other. Not that some body is not functioning, some part of the body is not functioning. So it's not a very sound situation, that is not very desirable. But definitely head is important. If head is not there, if head is removed from the body won't survive. If legs are removed, body will somehow survive. If hands are not there, somehow body will survive. So like that, so in that sense, this analogy shows that the Brahmanas were supposed to be the head of the society because they were maintaining the situation wherein people can practice spiritual life very happily. So this was the whole purpose. The whole battle of Kurukshetra happened. It was ordained by the Supreme Lord. Why? Because to facilitate this very good condition so that people can progress materially as well as spiritually simultaneously. So if a ruler himself is a big rogue, a thief, then what happens? Naturally his subjects also will be suffering unnecessarily. Earth will not be happy, earth will not produce sufficient results, there will be so many disruptions in the nature. So all because of that, if a king is very pious, very kind-hearted, very able, pure devotee of the Lord, then Mother Earth is naturally happy. Then she will provide all the necessities, and then it will create a very conducive environment for the general populace to practice spirituality. So Krishna, in that 18th chapter, 42nd verse, also explains the qualities of Brahmanas. Shamodamas tapashaucham kshanti arjavamevacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavacham. So Rishabhadeva also similar instruction gives in the 5th canto, 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are the guna, natural qualities by which Brahmanas work. So what are those? Shamaha means peacefulness. They are very peaceful. Yadrishta labha santushto. Whatever comes on its own accord, they will be able to happily live with that. And then self-control, Dhamma. So control of the body, control of the senses, control of the mind, control of intelligence, false ego. They will be able to do, or at least they should endeavor to practice this self-control. And then tapaha, austerity, is very integral part of Brahmana's life. Or in general, tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam shuddhet. So it also indicates that it is the one of the most important factors to remain in Sattva-guna is austerity. That is why Prabhupada has recommended a very simple austerity for us. Rise early in the morning every day, attend Mangala Arati, chant your prescribed rounds, and fasting on appearance days of Acharyas, Lord, and then festivals, Ekadashi, like that. So small austerities. So it will help us to remain in the Brahminical platform Sattva-guna. Next is Shaucham, purity or cleanliness. Internal cleanliness, external cleanliness. And then Kshantir is tolerance. No matter how much distress is put on somebody because of his some past activities, he will be actually tolerate that. Just like Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha, Krishna also gives this analogy. Sometimes the weather is very hot and sometimes the weather is very cold. Still we have to tolerate and should not distract from our primary goal, primary activities that help us be in the spiritual platform. So and then Arjavam, Jnanam. Jnanam is knowledge, honesty. Arjavam is honesty. So he is very truthful. And then Jnanam is the knowledge. He is actually aware of the science of self-realization, science of Krishna consciousness. And then Vijnanam, he will not only know theoretically but also practically also implement it. And then Astikyam, religiousness. Nastik is a person who is atheist, who doesn't follow the Vedic injunctions or who does not respect Supreme Lord, who does not identify the position of the Lord. Whereas a Brahmana actually does have faith in the Vedic scriptures and injunctions. This is Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. Naturally, Brahmanas are endowed with it. And then Guna, these are all Guna. And what is Karma? Karma of a Brahmana is actually doing good to others. That is the main work of a Brahmana. So that is why even today or in bygone ages, Brahmanas were addressed as Purohita, isn't it? Priestly class of people. Means Parahita. So the word is derived, Purohita is from Parahita, who is doing actually Hita for others. And then the main 6 activities of Brahmana are mentioned in the scriptures. Patan, Patan, Yajan, Yajan, Dana, Pratigraha. Patan means he is very expert in studying the Vedic scriptures. And then Patan, he does not study for his own purpose or self. He does not hoard it for himself, but also makes others also like him. He is trying everybody to elevate to the Brahminical platform. And then that is Patan. And then Yajan, he is performing sacrifices. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yajnanam Japa Yajnosmi, among all the kinds of different sacrifices, this Japa Yajna is the topmost. So he is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He is making others also chant. Patan, Patan and Yajan, Yajan, Dana, Pratigraha. So Dana means he does not hoard anything. Pratigraha means he accepts charity. Dana means he does charity also. So that is the main duty of a Brahmana. So if such Brahmanas are not protected by the administrative class of men, like Parikshit, we saw how Parikshit Maharaj was ruling this entire world under the guidance and instructions of qualified Brahmanas. So naturally Brahmanas were protected, they were taken into consideration, they were maintained by the Kshatriya class. Now, but if Kshatriya class does not have faith in the Vedic instructions, they do not protect Brahmanas, they do not protect women, they do not protect children, then what happens? there will be chaos in the society, chaos in the world. So that is what exactly Dharma is asking questions to Mother Earth. And Chanakya Pandit also says that what is the qualification of a person who is in knowledge? He says, Matravat paradareshu, paradravyeshu lostravat, atmavat sarvabhuteshu, sapashyati sapanditaha. So one who sees everyone as his mother, every other woman other than his wife as mother, and paradravyeshu lostravat, who does not go after others' property. Atmavat sarvabhuteshu. Now somebody pinches me, I feel pain. So similarly, if I pinch somebody, he also undergoes pain. So similarly, who sees everyone as his own self, Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu, Sapashyati Sapandita. Only that person is called as a Pandita or a Brahmana. So Prabhupada also very beautifully explains in the purport of 1.8.5 Srimad Bhagavatam that Brahmanas, cows, women, children and old people should be given all protection. So in the Vedic scriptures also, in the bygone ages, if some mistake happens by these 5 categories of people, the king used to be very, very careful before awarding them any punishment. If at all they are actually supposed to be excused, but because to set an example, even if they had to be punished, the punishment had to be very, very minimum. Why? Because Prabhupada explains the protection of Brahmanas maintains the institution of Varna and Ashrama, the most scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life. Actually, their life is dedicated, they are dedicated for the upliftment of entire humanity. So it's very scientific institution of Varna and Ashrama. So they are actually upholding, they are supposed to be the leaders of that Varna and Ashrama. So that is why they are given protection. And then protection of cows maintains the most miraculous form of food, that is milk, which helps in maintaining finer brain tissues for understanding higher aims of life. So it is said that milk is so a complete food that it will help not only maintaining body, keeping it in a very good condition, healthy condition, but also it nurtures finer brain tissues where we can we can understand these subtle signs of Krishna consciousness. So that is why cows have to be given all protection. And then protection of women maintains the chastity of society by which we can get a good generation for peace, tranquility and progress of life. So now the future of any country or nation or world depends on the young children. Now how children are there? So what are the quality of children? So if Krishna also discusses this in Bhagavad Gita, the Arjuna tells that if we kill all these warriors, then what happens? Their husbands are not there, the women are unprotected, then they become actually unchaste, somebody will try to harass them, and then because of that Varna Sankara population will increase, unwanted population, by which entire world becomes hellish, he says. So that is why it is very important to give protection to women so that the chastity is maintained in the society, and then there is a good generation, so that for the years to come in the future there will be a good generation of children. That is why women have to be protected. And the protection of children gives the human form of life its best chance to prepare the way of liberty from material bondage. Such protection of children begins from the very day of begetting a child by the purificatory process of Garbhadana Samskara, the beginning of pure life. So now a child takes his birth based on his karma in a particular family or country or nation, but then it is also responsibility of the guardian, of the parents, to raise the child in a proper way so that he will be able to get out of this material clutches, from this material world. That is why the Vedic injunction is Pitana sasyad, jananina sasyad, namochayedyas samupeta mrityuhu. If one cannot deliver a child or a dependent from these clutches of material world and help him to go back to Godhead, one should not become father and mother, it is said. So there is a great responsibility so that children right from the young age they get proper platform, they have a very good sound foundation, and that will help, that will remain for the rest of their lives, which will help to progress spiritually. That is why children has to be given protection. And the protection of the old men gives them a chance to prepare themselves for better life after that. So old men also have to be protected because they are supposed to be very, very serious. Everybody is supposed to be very serious, because nobody can say just because I am young, I am going to live here for at least 50 years, 100 years. There is no such guarantee. In that sense, everybody is. But old age people, at least they should be even more serious, so that they prepare themselves to go back to Godhead, and they are not bothered with unnecessary anxieties. And their body is also becoming weak. And it is said that old age is like second childhood. So just like children are given protection, even the old age people should be given protection. So Brahmanas, cows, children, women, and old men. So these 5 categories of people. So if you see, almost everybody are covered in that. Who is left out? So that is the beauty of Vedic scripture, Vedic literature. So actually, in a sense, Praja means everyone have to be given protection. So if that kind of protection is not given, if protection is given only to human beings, if animals are not protected, if they are sent to slaughterhouse, naturally Mother Earth is not happy. So that is what Dharma is asking in today's verse, that you are all happy because you are unhappy because of these conditions. Brahmanas taking shelter of some administrative class of people who don't have faith in these religious injunctions, and children and women are left unprotected. And then Brahmanas actually themselves are not qualified and engaged in their respective duties. So because of all these things, are you unhappy, is what is asking. So Prabhupada very beautifully explains in the purport, in the age of Kali, the women and the children along with Brahmanas and cows will be grossly neglected and left unprotected. Circumstantially, the women will try to become independent of the protection of men. So this is one of the reasons why sometimes we see some feminists, they want equal rights for women, because there were instances in history where actually women got oppressed by the unqualified so-called people who actually represented religious these customs. So because of all such treatment, what happened, certain section of women, they wanted to have equal rights so that they will not get oppressed. But actually that is also not the ideal situation. Prabhupada is mentioning here, the cause for that is because they were mistreated. But on the other hand, if they were given proper respect, if they were given proper honor, proper care, proper love, proper protection, then such situation wouldn't arise. So Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport, that's why the Brahmanas, cows, women and children have to be protected. So it is very, very important. So in Vedic literatures also, Prabhupada quotes this particular example. There were so many exalted women devotees of the Lord. Prabhupada mentions in different places, like we worship Radharani. Srimati Radharani is the topmost devotee of the Supreme Lord. So she is the universal mother. So we respect her and love her so much. So that is the position, that is the kind of honor every woman deserves. So of course Radharani is internal potency of Krishna, in a sense non-different from Krishna, so Krishna's mercy incarnation. So but even otherwise, Lord Ramachandra himself demonstrated what is the respect, honor and position woman deserves. So he went even to the extent of annihilating complete dynasty of Ravana, killing Ravana, to protect and bring back Sita Devi. He would have married someone else, but no, he actually followed this Ekapatni Vrata. And then Mother Parvati, we know how, she is the controller, Durga, controller of this entire material world, creation. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. She actually is so powerful, she is so qualified, she can create and maintain these material universes. But even then, she accepted Lord Shiva, and she was so chaste and so faithful to Lord Shiva that even after Daksha, insulted Lord Shiva, she tried to rectify the situation, but when she couldn't, she had to quit her body. And then again in the next life, again she does tapasya and then again marries Lord Shiva. So that is the chastity element, complete surrenderance to the husband, the faithfulness towards the husband. And then Lakshmi Devi, We all know how she is always engaged in service of Lord Narayana. Although Lakshmi is so chanchala, it is said that everybody is asking for Mother Goddess Lakshmi's favor. Still, she doesn't want to leave Krishna and go. She wants to be always engaged in Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajani. So they always have this service attitude to Krishna. And then like this, so many instances, Savitri, Damayanti, and from the Mahabharata, Draupadi, Kunti, Gandhari, they were all actually very, very faithful to their garden. Prabhupada mentions when a girl is young, she has to be protected by her father. And when she is getting married, and when she gets married to husband, she has to be protected by her husband. And when she grows old, she has to be protected by the grown-up children. So in all these three cases, she has to be faithful to her father, husband, and children. So that element of chastity, faithfulness is what expected from the women community. Otherwise, if they are not protected by the guardian, it's not that just because they are weak, they have to be protected. Just like Prabhupada gives example, protection comes with some restrictions. Just like there is a child walking in the street. The child does not want to be restricted. He wants to be happily walking, running around in the road. So, but if it is allowed, what happens? The child will land in difficulty, isn't it? So, the child's parents, the guardian, the father holds the child's hand and no, you should walk in this particular lane only. Just like driving a car also. The driver says, no, this traffic rules and all is so much of botheration. I want to be free. I want to drive in any lane, I wish to. Then accidents will happen. So actually protection means curtailing certain rights with restrictions for the good of the person. So in that sense, it is mentioned that women and children have to be protected. Not in the sense of they have to be oppressed. So if they are given proper protection, nobody else can do harm to them. And similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, when he incarnated, so he treated his mother Shachi Devi even after taking sannyas with utmost respect. His wife Vishnu Priya was there. Even she was so chaste to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that she never married. She always continued to be worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then in the future generations also, Jannava Devi, Nityananda Prabhu's wife, and then daughter of Srinivas Acharya, Hemalata, and Ganga Mata Goswami. So like these, women were given proper protection, and it is not that just because women are to be given protection, they are considered as inferior. So just like a child is given protection, women were given protection. So it is said that the measuring criteria is how the soul is advanced in the spiritual platform. So that is the measure, that is the criteria. One should measure from the soul's perspective, not from bodily point of argument. So a pure devotee of the Lord does not see the external dress, just like this dress, just like somebody is wearing a shirt of particular color. So if he changes that to some other shirt, doesn't mean the person has changed. The person is the same. Only the body, the dress has changed. So similarly, as a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, somebody may be there in the body of a woman, somebody may be in the body of a man, somebody may be in the body of an animal. So the criteria is to help overall situation so that the soul makes progress in Krishna consciousness towards achieving that ultimate goal. So that was the first two lines. And the third question, what actually Dharma asked was, Abrahmanye Rajakule Kulagryan. So it means that Rajakula, the royal class, they were supposed to take care of the Brahmanas, cows, children, everyone. When they themselves become irreligious, what happens? Then everybody starts getting harassed. Not only they get harassed, they start revolting against. So one such instance where even Lord also doesn't like this situation, and he personally intervenes beyond a point, because his purpose is Dharma Stapana. So very important to help all the conditioned souls progress in spiritual life. When something is going out of control, Lord will personally intervene. And such instance recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto is one of Narakasuras. So this Narakasura, he had become so powerful a demon, he actually started fighting with the subordinate kings, neighboring kings, and wherever he used to go, he used to actually kidnap their young wives and daughters. And numbering like this, fighting king after kings, and they used to capture king or kill that particular king. He captured 16,100 odd princes, and he held all of them in captive. And not only that, he actually was so powerful, he fought with Indra, king of heaven, and he actually was victorious over him also. So he became the king of heaven also. And then not only that, he was so atrocious, he took the earrings of Mother Aditi. Aditi happened to be the mother of all the devatas, demigods. So he took the earrings. So like this, he was doing one after one the atrocious acts. Because of this, what happened? King Indra comes to Dwarka, where Lord Krishna was ruling as Dwarkadish, and then he lodges a complaint against Narakasura, saying that this demon has become completely gone off track. He is troubling everyone in this material world. So then immediately Krishna decides, yes, I should not only bring proper order in the society, I should also protect all those princes who are being held captive by this Narakasura. Because Krishna, Samovam Sarva Bhuteshu, he does not differentiate whether somebody who is rich, somebody who is not qualified, nothing. Krishna is actually equal to everyone. So Krishna wants to give this opportunity for all the jivas so that they can make peaceful progress in their Krishna consciousness. So Krishna immediately decides that he, along with Satyabhama, his queen, they start on the Garuda to the capital city of Narakasura. It was called Pragjyotishpura. So in the Krishna book, if you see chapter 59, that is described. So very beautifully the Vedavyasa has described these descriptions, how Lord's beauty, Lord was adorned with different weapons, Shankha Chakra. Although Krishna in Dwaraka, he was residing as two-handed form. When he goes to war, he actually assumes Vishnu form, four-handed form, riding on a Garuda. And then this capital city of Narakasura, Pragjyotishpura, it was, Prabhupada mentions, even in today's estimation, the security was so high that nobody could easily get through that. So it had 4 levels of security. First was completely, it was compounded with barbed wire, electric barbed wire, and then huge canals were dug and water were there, and that waters were filled. And then poisonous gaseous elements were there in the 3rd element, and 4th was huge compound wall guarded by heavy soldiers with heavy weapons. So these kind of things, nice descriptions are there. Krishna actually rides on the Garuda, and with the help of mace, so each one he destroys with the help of the compound, he destroys with the mace. The electric barbed wire he cuts with his Sudarshana disc, and gaseous, a thing he does like that. So everything Krishna and Satyabhama, they cross and enter the capital city. And moment he blows his conch shell called Panchajanya, what happens? This demon is alerted and he comes out to fight with Krishna. And there is a great description of how this fight goes on for hours and hours, and one by one generals of Narakasura gets killed, and then finally time comes when Krishna actually cuts off Narakasura's head with his Sudarshana disc. So this Narakasura also, the history is such that he could be only killed by the person from whom he had taken birth. So that means either this Narakasura happened to be the son of Mother Earth, that's why his other name was Bhaumasura. So when Lord Vishnu had taken Varaha form, and then he had lifted Mother Earth, so this Narakasura actually had born, and that's how Narakasura was killed by Vishnu, because again Krishna and Lord Vishnu, they are not different, the same person. So this is what Narakasura Vada, the pastime, we celebrated recently Naraka Chaturdashi, the Deepavali, the day. It is celebrated by lighting lights because it's a sign of victory of Krishna over Narakasura demon. And then not only that, so the 16,108 princes who were all women, they were actually unprotected under the hands of unqualified demon like Narakasura. They were all rescued by Krishna, and with utmost respect, he actually comes before them. But the thing was, in those Vedic customs, if a girl happens to be away from house even for one day, nobody would marry her. So they all requested that Krishna only should marry them. So Krishna, actually being the super soul of every living entity, understood, and then immediately Krishna agrees, and then he actually dispatches them all with utmost respect to Dwaraka. And what kind of respect at Dwaraka? Dwaraka also, they were all not put in one room and made to suffer. No, because Krishna is the Lord, he actually created 16,100 palaces, and each one was respectfully placed in each of the palaces, and Krishna himself also expanded into those many forms, and everyone had actually Krishna as their husband. So they were all expansions of, again, Lakshmi's, where it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. That's how Krishna. But even from material point of view, so much of protection and respect Krishna had actually shown to women. So that was the thing, and numerous such examples wherein women and children were protected by the Supreme Lord or Supreme Lord's authorized agents. This only goes to say that the Brahmanas, the cows, the women, children and old people should be given protection. Otherwise, earth will be in a very chaotic situation. So, Bhaktivedanta Thakur also says that in a beautiful composition called Sri Geetamala. So, it is actually a composition of poems in the form of flower garlands. He is offering it to the Supreme Lord. So, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he says that, kindly repeat after me. Hari He, Stri Purusha Deha Gata, Varna Adi Dharma Jata, Tahe Puna Deha Gata Beda, Sattva Rajastamo Guna, Ashraye Che Beda Punaha, E Rupa Sahasra Prabheda. So the translation goes, O my Lord, so Bhaktivedanta Thakur is offering this prayer to the Supreme Lord. I know that all bodily distinctions between female, male, as well as all the divisions of the Varnashrama system, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas are simply materialistic differences based on bodily consciousness. And when all these distinctions are influenced by the material modes of goodness, passion and ignorance, then they multiply into thousands of complicated divisions. So, Bhaktivedanta Thakur in the further prayer, he prays that when we start analyzing from bodily concept of life, from bodily platform, then there starts the competition. So, I want to be number one, I want to be number two, no, I am mistreated, I am low in the hierarchy. So, suppose there is a graph, and in that graph, it is mentioned that in certain activity, one form of species are expert. In another graph, it is mentioned that in certain kind of activities, some other species expert. Isn't it? Just like the duties of a Brahmana, we discussed Satya, Shama, Dama, Tapas, Shaucham, Ahimsa, Kshanti, Arjam, all those things. So similarly, when it comes to Kshatriyas, Kshatriyas were expert in physical strength and chivalrous activities, showing bravery, fighting skills. So all these kind of, doing charity. So they were expert. When it comes to Vaishyas, they were expert in business acumen. They had this knack of how to make profits, how to, expand industries, large employment. Vaishya Karma Savavajam is mainly cow protection and agriculture. So basically they had this neglect. And somebody who is not qualified as either Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, then he had to assist one of these three categories, Shudras. So now, when one starts analyzing, somebody may be expert in something, somebody else may be expert in something, it is all actually a material variety. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining, when these 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyas, so each one has their own rules and responsibilities, responsibilities, and when this is combined with the 3 modes of material nature, sattva-guna, rajoguna, tamaguna, Brahmana supposed to be in sattva-guna, but he could be in rajoguna and tamaguna. Similarly, a kshatriya is supposed to be in rajoguna, he could be in goodness or he could be in tamaguna. A Vaishya is supposed to be in the mixed modes of rajoguna and tamaguna, but a Shudra is supposed to be in the mode of tamaguna. So like this, when we start analyzing, it becomes very, very complicated and thousands of complex situations could arise. So that is why Krishna says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavajana. But when we transcend these material modes, we situate ourselves on the Shuddha Sattva Guna, all these complicated concepts just vanish. Only one duty remains. What is that one duty? Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayashami ma shucha. Krishna is also assuring. So the constitutional duty, constitutional position of every living entity is to be engaged in loving devotional service. No matter what that service is, whatever is assigned to me, I have to keep doing that service. Because that service is coming from a bona fide spiritual master who is representing the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. By doing that, what happens? Yayatma suprasiddhati, I become happy. So this is the secret formula to become happy. But if we are in the bodily concept of life, then we start calculating materially. So no, I have been neglected. It all depends on what mode from that particular point of vision we are trying to analyze things. So only solution is for all these problems is to transcend and to become a very good devotee of the Lord. So if that is achieved, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we can easily make a very nice situation, create very nice situation in this world. So the consistency. The other day somebody sent an article where they were mentioning, there were 2 images. One image of a ladder, so where the units were 100, 200, 300, 400 like that. So the difference of units were 100. Whereas another one graph where the units were changing only in terms of 10 units, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So a person can easily climb in the ladder which is of 10 units. But it is consistently increasing. Now 100 to 200 is very big difference. There is a lot of endeavor required. May not be possible to everybody. So similarly, just like a person can lift 5 kgs over a period of time, then 5.5 over a period of time, then 6, 6.5. So eventually he can come to the position of lifting 10 kgs after some time. But if suddenly somebody wants to lift 5 kg, then tomorrow he wants to start lifting 10 kgs, then either he will give up or tear his muscle and then say that no, this process is not working, isn't it? So consistency, so actually this is what exactly Srila Prabhupada also created in our institution, ISKCON organization. So consistently we try to spiritualize ourselves, try to stay in this transcendental Shuddha Sattva platform by practicing sadhana, chanting, hearing, and engaging in devotional service in various aspects of Krishna consciousness consistently. So not that once in a week or once in a month or once in a year, only during Kartik Masa I'll do, so 11 months I'll not follow. So that will not work out. So instead, little bit if you do every day, then it will help. So actually Prabhupada, he not only taught this, he personally showed. An Acharya means person who teaches by his own example. So in the very wonderful pastime, so this devotee Yamuna Devi Dasi, so when she is recollecting her memory, she had joined actually ISKCON in 1967. So ISKCON started in the year 1966. So after few months of starting of ISKCON, she was one of the earliest disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Yamuna Devi Dasi. So she was recollecting this particular pastime where she had come, visited temple in New York 2-3 times, but then she started getting interest in rendering some service for the institution to Srila Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada said that, okay, one day she had come, she had not been initiated, she had not been following any rules and regulations, but then she wanted to help Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, actually that day it happens to be on the initiation day. And initiation days and festivals, there used to be a huge feast. And Prabhupada used to personally cook because nobody else were there. Prabhupada used to cook himself. He used to go get groceries, and then after that feed everybody. After that, clean the vessels. It was all a one-man show. Such an elderly person at the age of 70. And then, so that is why she thought she will help. So Prabhupada had decided 15 menu feast, 15 item menu. Basically, there will be 15 kinds of varieties of feast. And few devotees were getting initiated, and she said she wants to help Prabhupada. So Prabhupada said, okay, you do one item, 14 items I will do, you do this one particular item. And then I think Prabhupada gave to make kachori, one of the simplest items. So when she started doing this, she says that she recollects, they were all so unqualified those days, and even basic things they didn't know. As a woman, Prabhupada expected she may be knowing some basic things of cooking and all that, but actually she didn't know anything. So what happened, Prabhupada said each and every step she had to be explained. Then when she started doing, in between, what happened? She asked Prabhupada, can I go and smoke and come? So Prabhupada said, smoking? No, please go wash your face and hands and come. So even just the thought of sinful activity, so Prabhupada sent her, you go wash and come, hands. And then just by thinking, then she became serious. Then after some time, after a few minutes went by, and then she said, Prabhupada, can I drink some water and come? So Prabhupada said, go wash your hands and come again, second time. So then she drank water, and then she washed her hands and came. Again, after a few minutes passed by, because kitchen was so hot, fumes were coming, so she did like this. So again Prabhupada said, go wash your hands and come. So that happened. And then after some time, she got a sneezing. She coughed and sneezed. Again she closed her hands. Again Prabhupada said, go wash your hands and come. So like this 5, 6, 7 times it happened. That was practically, it was taught that Prabhupada said, this is actually cooking for Supreme Lord. So you are not supposed to smell, you are not supposed to do the quality checking while cooking, tasting. And then, you should do with proper consciousness, and then only that is fit for offering to the Supreme Lord. So like that. And from that stage, and she recollects in the 1970, so in just 3 years, she had become so expert in cooking, and she used to make so many items, very tasty. Prabhupada appreciated, and Prabhupada gave such a respect and honor to her that Prabhupada mandated that in each and every ISKCON temple, every day, the song Govinda Madi Purusham, sung by her, has to be played. So even today, each and every ISKCON temple, like we also play Govinda Madi Purusham. So such a respect was never given to anyone else. So for next 10,000 years, till the ISKCON movement is there, every day her voice is played in all the temples across the globe. So such a respect, such an honor, such a position Prabhupada gave, that Mataji. And then, but although she was so qualified, she was expert in cooking, expert in singing, qualified, Prabhupada never made her GBC. Now that doesn't mean that she is less inferior, or whether it means whether she was inferior. So, that kind of arguments come when somebody is not in proper devotee consciousness. So some things are given to some kind of varieties of species, some things are given to some varieties of species. So the underlying principle is, we have to be chaste to whatever services we are given. We have to put our best endeavor, efforts to offer the best results to Krishna, and we have to try to make advancement spiritually to please Prabhupada. So that was the thing. So to summarize, we in today's verse we discussed about Brahmana's qualities, and then the responsibilities of Brahminical culture for the overall help, progress, to help people to progress spiritually, and then roles and responsibilities of women also, and then how Lord himself respects women, children, and people who are, he is known as Dinabandhu, whoever is seeking his help genuinely, and Bhaumasura, that pastime. And then Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, actually being in the material platform, we cannot get any solution. Only when we transcend, when we get out of this bodily conception of life, then only we can get real solution. And then Srila Prabhupada's personal instruction and example, how he actually trained his disciples, including women and everybody. So that was today's verse. So Dharma is posing these three questions, whether Brahmanas, children and women are not being taken care. Because of that reason, are you unhappy, is what his question. And further, we will see how Parikshit Maharaj deals with the situation. So if anyone has any questions or comments, we can have for 5 minutes. Yeah, there is one question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhupada said that he is trying to create first-class Brahmanas in society through this movement as a beginning for. But as you mentioned, Brahmanas will also require some Kshatriyas, or in the Varnashram Dharma we will also require Vaishyas or Shudras. So, how can we see the movement creating these classes of people? Because as of now we are seeing that the Brahmanas are being created.
Yes, basically Prabhupada is creating this institution, not that just by wearing a 2 paisa thread one becomes a Brahmana. But the principle remains the same, what Krishna mentions, guna and karma. So, whereas ISKCON institution is a Daivi Varnashram system. So, the Vaishnavas are actually even beyond the most qualified Brahmanas. So, Vaishnavas can take up any service if it gives pleasure to Krishna. A Vaishnava can be a topmost Brahmana, he can be best Shudra, he can be a best Kshatriya, he can be a best Vaishya. So whatever pleases the Supreme Lord, he wants to engage in that particular service. So he doesn't reject, okay, this is Maya or this is of Shudra qualification. No. Whatever is being given to a particular devotee, disciple by his Guru, and the system set up by his Guru, he is actually that particular thing. So in that sense, Prabhupada said, yes, we want to create a set of Brahmanas, at least set of Brahmanas. So that is the least, worst case scenario. Even if somebody cannot become fully pure devotee Vaishnava, at least by following these principles, he can be called himself as a Brahmana. And just by being a proper Brahmana, whole the face of the entire world will change. So that is the situation. That is the contribution of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisance at your lotus feet. Prabhu, you said that the material world is not solutions unless we transcend the mode. You know that we are in this Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. The principle here is Gopi Padakamalo Dasa Dasano Dasa. When we are dealing with this material world, if we have this attitude of Dasa Dasano Dasa, so people might be taking us misusing that one. How we are balancing this, dealing with this material world with the transcendent solutions, how to balance our day-to-day life? Could you please elaborate on this one?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Very good question. Basically, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that Gopi Bharta Padakalamala Dasa Dasa Dasano Dasa, so I become so humble, somebody slaps me, I don't want to retaliate, and then more people come and slap. So that should not, then operation will start, that's how. So actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself showed, when it is for my personal insult or for my personal discomfort, then I am ready to accept and bear that. But when he saw in the case of Nityananda Prabhu, when Jagai Madhai were trying to harm Nityananda Prabhu, he became very fiery. He became very angry. So whenever there is an attack on Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru's instruction, institution, then a Vaishnava takes up on the footing of at least defending, if not attacking. If in the first step itself, defending itself works, then it's well and good. If that is not happening, then attacking mode. So which was demonstrated by Hanuman in the Ramayana and Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. They tried so much peace. Krishna himself went and tried peace with Duryodhana. They never agreed to give 5 villages to Pandavas. So only option left was fight. So attacking. So first step is defense, then attack. So now if somebody is trying to insult me, somebody is laughing at me, no problem, I don't retaliate. It is all for my good own karma is burning. So I was supposed to suffer more and more, but instead I am being given as a token thing. But when somebody insults Guru or Guru's instruction or some other sadhu, then I cannot sit quiet. So this is how we have to carefully take a call. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.